Everything about USAID is a complete and utter sham. I have a whistleblower who worked at the USAID who's going to share with you something that is so unbelievable and unreal that the greatest fiction writer in the world couldn't come up with this. Also, I've uncovered so much more. The video that we posted yesterday was just barely scratching the surface. I knew that once we get into the real bowels of the USAID and uncover the real corrosive corruption that was bound to erupt, it's going to just absolutely suffocate everybody. And I'm going to share this with you. Also, President Trump just posted this about our video yesterday. Check this out. President Trump just posted this today, February 6th, saying, looks like billions of dollars have been stolen at USAID and other agencies, much of it going towards the fake news media as the payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing rag known as Politico seems to have received $8 million, which, by the way, we've got further confirmation and further digging and due diligence and research and found that it's much more than 8 million. As I kind of said in the video yesterday, did the New York Times receive money? Trump continues. Who else did? This could be, in capital letters, this could be the biggest scandal of them all. Perhaps the biggest in history. The Democrats can't hide from this one. Too big, too dirty. Oh, I can't wait till Pam Bondi and Kash Patel go after these heathenists. My fellow Americans, this is the second American Revolution commencing right before our eyes, and all of us have a front row seat. What a time to be alive. How blessed are we to have real leadership back on the throne. In my video yesterday, I mentioned the BBC that USAID was funding. Our taxpayer dollars were actually funding the British Broadcasting Corporation. If that's not insane right there, okay, if that's not absolutely preposterous right there, they put out this statement, which I uncovered, releasing this, saying a free press is essential to freedom and democracy, and 75% of countries around the world do not have a free press. BBC Media Action supports local media around the world to deliver trusted information to people most in need. Like many international development organizations, BBC Media Action has been affected by the temporary pause in U.S. government funding, which amounts to about 8% of our income. 8%. This is $1 billion corporation. In 2023, 2024, we're doing everything we can to minimize the impact on our partners and the people we serve. Why in the hell are our taxpayer dollars going to fund an entity across the pond, which is essentially state media, the BBC? It's worse than Politico. Like, what is going on here? When you have North Carolinians living in snow tents right now, you've got people in Los Angeles who cannot even get to their home. Their homes could be getting robbed by all of the lawlessness that Gavin Newsom has unleashed on the poor state of California. And you guys are funding our taxpayer dollars are funding the BBC? My fellow Americans, how many times did I say America last? America last. We're sick and tired of America last. That is what the vegetable in chief Biden, and that is what the worst DEI vice president in the history of our country, Kamala Harris, did to us. Check this out. It gets even worse. According to a USAID fact sheet, which has since been taken offline, their website doesn't work. In 2023, the agency funded training and support for 6,200 journalists, assisted 707 non-state news outlets, and supported 279 media sector civil society organizations dedicated to what? Strengthening quote-unquote independent media, which is just a euphemism for state media, because we're independent media. Independent media's sole precept is to engage in impartiality, objectivity. These guys don't do that. It is all a PR stunt. And wait till I share with you other stuff. It's going to blow your mind. I've got all the receipts. The 2025 foreign aid budget included Just a cool 268 million. And moreover, all over the world, media outlets and organizations have had to halt some of their activities overnight. Thank God for Elon Musk. We have articles, quotes scheduled until the end of January, but after that, if we haven't found solutions, we won't be able to publish anymore. Good riddance, explains a journalist. In Ukraine, get this, our taxpayer, it's bad enough that we're sending them all of our tax money instead of securing our border. Remember the quote unquote border bill? In Ukraine, 9 out of 10 media outlets rely on USAID funding. Are you kidding me? In Ukraine, where 9 out of 10 media outlets rely on USAID funding, several local media have already announced the suspension of their activities and are searching for alternative solutions. You guys, America First feels amazing, but you know what this is? This is America spring cleaning. This is like we've had a house infected by termites, infected by black mold, manifested in the form of these absolute heathenous, deceitful, lioness, lioness degenerate hypocrites. And President Trump and the entire cabinet that he nominated, that he wanted to work with him, that he selected, representing the American people, are literally taking out the brooms, taking out the pesticide, and cleaning house. I can't believe this. At slidsvo.info, 80% of our budget is affected, says Anna Babinet, CEO and co-founder of this independent, again, quote unquote, independent. It's all a PR stunt because wait till I show you this. Independent investigative media outlet based in Kyiv. The USAID paid Ben Stiller, talentless hack, lucky ass degenerate Ben Stiller, the guy who supported Kamala, who advocated for Kamala, who did the White Men's for Harris atrocious, abominable event. He was paid $4 million of our taxpayer dollars. While North Carolinians, Floridians, people affected by natural disasters got their houses skipped because they had Trump signs in their yards. People in LA can't get back to their house. Their whole entire livelihood gone. But you're giving $4 million to somebody who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars to do what? Here's the kicker. You want to know what they did? And that's not even all. Check this out. Sean Penn, again, another staunch Kamala Harris radical leftist, got paid $5 million. I'll tell you what they got paid for. Orlando Bloom, useless Holly weirdo, got $8 million of our taxpayer dollars. And Angelina Jolie got a whopping $20 million from USAID. And for what? To make Zelensky look amenable to the public. This was all a sham, all a PR stunt. The worst of Hollywood actors went to try to exalt and elevate a comedian puppet president who was unelected, who was given over $200 billion of our taxpayer dollars to sell him to the American public and the world beyond. Our taxpayer dollars. When I say share this out, when I say tap the thumbs up, what doesn't cost you a thing, this is what it's all about. Exposing the people who are destroying, decaying our country from the inside out. You're not going to hear about this on CNN. You're not going to hear about this on any of the woke outlets, ABC, NBC, CBS. You're not going to hear about it anywhere else. I need you to share this. Tap the thumbs up now. Oh, and by the way, the World Economic Forum got, just a cool, $52 million. The World Economic Forum. That is the faction of elitists in Davos that meet every year to try and essentially social engineer, change perception, try to circumvent and undercut American values and principles all across the world. For some reason, USAID sent them a cool $50 million and then some.
I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this.
Just to piggyback on what the awesome, amazing Caroline Leavitt, I'm so happy. Another home run pick from President Trump. Let me know what you think of our new White House press secretary. What an upgrade. I love her. The USAID has been completely unaccountable for decades. It's been run by bureaucrats like, these ridiculous swamp vermin that are now inciting violence and saying we're at war, we're going to fight, and we're going to fire you. And just so much hate. What happened to the Party of Joy? Here are just some of the few more ridiculous projects in which they spent our hard-earned money. $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. Are you kidding me right now? $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. All the while Americans can't pay groceries, can barely sustain the cost of living right now, can't afford new homes, can't afford new anything, can barely afford to take their kids on vacation, if at all. Some of them homeless, some of them displaced due to these natural disasters, FEMA skipping their houses. And you're going to spend $20 million of our money on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq? Don't get me started. $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. Take a screenshot. I can't do this anymore. I just can't. It drives me nuts. I mean, you look at the bottom. $25 million for Deloitte to promote green transportation in the country of Georgia. $6 million for tourism in Egypt. $2.1 million to help the BBC value the diversity of a Libyan society. $6 million to transform digital spaces to reflect feministic, democratic principles. And maybe the worst of them all, although they're all bad, $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. $2 million. The waste is suffocating. The waste is abominable. These people should not only be fired, disbarred, and expunged from ever holding a public office again. I truly believe tribunals are in order. I think they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, you have the American support and endorsement to go after these heathenistic criminals. Okay, now I have to give you warning. This is not going to be a pleasant clip. And I don't blame you if you leave right now, but Jesse Waters from Fox News, I mean, he has kind of like an hour, 2 hour long show. I don't know if you caught this, but here is a whistleblower who worked at the USAID, a white male, talking about what they put him through while he was working at the USAID. Watch this.
Mark Moyer, he's a USAID whistleblower, and he joins me now. So, Mark, you started at USAID, and what they do the first thing, did they send you to DEI camp?
Yes, and great to be with you, Jesse. So I didn't get into the agency till February 2018, and this is one of the big differences that we're already seeing that in 2017. Trump administration was very slow to get into the agency. So I get there in February, and we have what's called a privilege walk as part of the orientation, where you are given an identity. Now, I was a Scandinavian woman, and so when they read lines like, I get discriminated against because of government services, or people don't look how I look. So you took a step forward if it applied, and if it didn't. And so I ended up near the front, and the indigenous woman with unwanted pregnancy and the male prostitute were at the other end, and then we talked about our privileges.
All right, so you were trained to be a Scandinavian woman in a privilege walk, not root out corruption. What kind of disguises do they use to fund these projects? I mean, do they just change the names of these things? Is there really some other reason we're doing this?
Yeah, they're very effective at rebranding things. So in the first Trump administration, the priorities were support national interests as they are now. Another thing was countering terrorism and promoting self-reliance. So I went to a country, just to give one example, they had a feminist women's book club that had been started under the Obama administration. And then they now said this is a counter-terror program because women, feminist women are key fighters in the battle against terrorism.
I don't know how Jesse's laughing at that. Like that, I mean, I think I have a pretty good sense of humor and I'll laugh where it's funny. I think you guys know that about me. And I think you guys share that. A lot of you guys have amazing, but pretending to be a Scandinavian woman and then talk about your white privilege to a pretend indigenous woman. This is what our hard-earned blood, sweat, and tears, taxpayer dollars are going toward. There's nothing funny about that. I don't think there's one thing. Do you think that's funny? Let me know in the comments down below. My fellow Americans, my fellow global citizens, I know we have a vast audience from South Africa, from Germany, from New Zealand, Australia, South America, everywhere. I love you guys. Let me tell you something. Our president had 2, if not more, assassination attempts on him. And these diabolical hypocrites, aka Democrats, who are literally fanning the flames of hysteria and division, saying that we're at war. Elon Musk is a terrorist. Donald Trump is a tyrant. He's a dictator. And all for the reason, their whole reason of doing this, putting this much energy, putting this much fight, is because President Trump, who actually campaigned on the promise that he was going to anoint and nominate Elon Musk to be the head of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, to make sure that the government is efficient and not wasting taxpayer dollars. He campaigned. We all voted for this. All because Elon Musk is doing what the president tasked him to do, looking at waste and eliminating it in our government. That's why they're fighting. You have to ask yourself a very serious question. Why? Why are you fighting this tooth and nail? And why didn't you put this kind of energy up when we were experiencing the worst border crisis in the history of America? Why didn't you put this fight up when Americans were struggling? Americans were barely hanging on a thread, economically, financially, emotionally, physically. And you were giving all of our money to fund forever wars. And you didn't put up any fight, not at all, when North Carolinians were displaced and homeless, when Angelenos were displaced and homeless. You put zero fight up for that. But a couple of eyes on our money, closer look, a more microscopic look into our money, and you erupt in chaos. Make it make sense. But the president has had his life jeopardized more than once. And what you're doing, to me, in my mind's view, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is an act of sedition. And not only should you be expunged, I think you need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. What you're doing right now is creating the same insanity in our country, the same lunacy in our country, which is dangerous and inciting. That's true insurrectionist, inciting violence. It's the same mentality. It's the same thing they did during the campaign in 2024. What's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I know you're on a losing streak and you're going to keep on losing, but what you're doing now is sedition. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I've got so much more to share with you, so make sure you stay with us, subscribe, follow. It's absolutely free. Tap the thumbs up. It doesn't cost you a thing. The best thing you can do is sign up for our free newsletter. That's in the pinned comment and in the description, so you never miss out. It's absolutely free. It takes you only a second. We are so back. I can't even imagine. By the way, if you want a one-of-a-kind original Nez Nation Patriot merch, that's also in the pinned comment and in the show notes and description. I can't even imagine what would have happened if we didn't win. I can't even imagine if America would have lost on November 5th, and I don't want to. I'm so grateful to God. We are blessed. Thank you, God. All praises to the Most High. I love you. And I love you. Check out these videos coming up on the screen. If you haven't seen these yet, tap my face right there to subscribe and follow. It's absolutely free. And as always, God bless you, and may God bless America. I'll see you soon.